What if everything you've been searching for, direction, peace, and purpose, has already been revealed, but in a way that few truly recognize? In a world full of quick answers and confusing paths, there is a voice that never contradicts itself, never changes with time, and never fails. A voice that doesn't just speak about the truth, but is the truth itself. Jesus didn't just teach, he revealed himself. And that revelation comes through powerful declarations that begin with two simple yet eternal words, I am. Each one carries a deep meaning, showing who he is and what he can become in the life of anyone who chooses to trust. When everything feels uncertain, these words remain steady. When the heart is weary, they continue to bring rest. When the mind is confused, they bring clarity. In this video, you'll discover the 7 I am statements of Jesus and how each one can transform the way you live, think, and believe. Stay with me until the end. Open your heart and allow this message to speak deeply into your life. Let's begin. First, I am the bread of life. Then Jesus said to them, I am the bread of life. Whoever comes to me will never hunger, and whoever believes in me will never thirst. John 6:35. In this powerful statement, Jesus reveals that he is the true source of spiritual satisfaction. Just as bread sustains the body, he alone can nourish the soul. Many people try to fill their inner emptiness with success, relationships, or material things, but these never fully satisfy. The hunger within us is deeper, it is spiritual, and only he can fill it. When Jesus says we will never hunger or thirst, he is speaking of a lasting fulfillment that goes beyond temporary circumstances. It is a peace that remains in hardship and a hope that does not fade with time. Believing in him means more than understanding. It means trusting, depending, and staying connected to him daily. When we come to Jesus, we discover what our hearts have always been searching for: true life, deep peace, clear direction, and a purpose that endures beyond anything this world can offer. Second, I am the light of the world. Then Jesus spoke to them again, saying, I am the light of the world. Whoever follows me will not walk in darkness, but will have the light of life. John 8:12. In this declaration, Jesus reveals himself as the source of true guidance and clarity. Just as light removes darkness and allows us to see clearly, he brings understanding, direction, and truth into our lives. Without him, people often walk in confusion, uncertainty, and spiritual blindness, trying to find their way on their own. But Jesus offers something greater, a light that not only shows the path, but also transforms the heart. When he says that those who follow him will not walk in darkness, he is speaking of a life guided by truth, not by fear or confusion. His light exposes what is hidden, heals what is broken, and leads us into a life filled with purpose and peace. Following Jesus means choosing to walk in his truth daily, and when his light leads us, we no longer wander. We move forward with clarity, hope, and a renewed sense of direction. Third, I am the door. I am the door. If anyone enters by me, he will be saved, and will go in and out and find pasture. John 10:9. Through this statement, Jesus reveals himself as the only true entrance to a life of salvation, peace, and security. A door is not just an opening, it defines where we belong and how we enter. In the same way, Jesus shows that access to God and to a restored life comes only through him. When he says that whoever enters through him will be saved, he is speaking of a deep transformation, being rescued from a life without direction and brought into a place of purpose and protection. The promise of going in and out and finding pasture reflects a life of freedom, provision, and rest under God's care. Following Jesus means making a decision to step through that door, leaving behind uncertainty and stepping into a life that is guided and sustained. In Him, we find not only security, but a constant source of peace, direction, and spiritual growth. Fourth, I am the Good Shepherd. I am the Good Shepherd. The Good Shepherd lays down his life for the sheep. John 10:11. In this declaration, Jesus reveals the deep, personal, and sacrificial care he has for those who follow him. Unlike a distant leader, he presents himself as a present shepherd, one who knows each sheep, leads with love, and protects with devotion. In biblical culture, a shepherd did more than guide the flock. He lived among the sheep, cared for them daily, defended them from danger, and was willing to risk his own life to keep them safe. When Jesus says he lays down his life for the sheep, he is pointing directly to the cross, where he gave everything out of love for humanity. This image reminds us that we are not alone. Even when we feel lost, weak, or without direction, there is a shepherd who seeks us, calls us by name, and leads us to safety. Following the Good Shepherd means trusting his leadership, even when we don't understand the path. It is resting in the certainty that he knows exactly where he is leading us. This truth invites us to reflect. Are we listening to the shepherd's voice or following other paths? In Jesus, we find care, protection, and a love that never fails. Fifth, I am the resurrection and the life. Jesus said to her, I am the resurrection and the life. Whoever believes in me, though he may die, yet shall he live. John 11:25. In this declaration, Jesus reveals one of the most powerful truths of the gospel. He has authority over life and death. This is not only a future promise, but a present reality. By saying he is the resurrection and the life, Jesus shows that in him there is hope, even when everything seems lost. These words were spoken in a moment of deep sorrow in front of Lazarus's death, showing that Jesus does not ignore human pain. He steps into it to transform the story. Where there is an ending, he brings a new beginning. Where there is death, he releases life. To believe in Jesus is to trust that no situation is completely beyond restoration. Even the areas of our lives that seem dead, dreams, faith, joy, can be renewed by his power. This truth invites us to reflect. Have we limited God's work to what we can see? Jesus calls us to live with a faith that goes beyond the natural. In him, death does not have the final word, and everyone who believes finds not only eternal life, but a renewed life today. Sixth, I am the way, the truth, and the life. Jesus said to him, I am the way, the truth, and the life. No one comes to the Father except through me. John 14:6. In this verse, Jesus responds to a real question from his disciples. How can we reach God? Instead of offering a method, a religion, or a set of rules, he presents himself. When Jesus says, I am the way, he declares that it is through him that we have access to the Father. There are no alternative spiritual paths that lead to salvation. He is the bridge between God and humanity. By saying, I am the truth, Jesus reveals that everything he teaches is absolute and trustworthy. In a world full of shifting ideas, he remains the unchanging standard. His word shows us who God is and what our purpose is. And when he says, "I am the life," he shows that he not only leads us to God, but also gives us spiritual life, a life that begins now and continues into eternity. His final statement is clear: no one comes to the Father except through him. In Jesus alone we find salvation, direction, and eternal purpose. Seventh, I am the true vine. I am the true vine, and my Father is the vine dresser. John 15:1. Jesus uses this illustration to show that real life and spiritual growth come only through a living connection with him. Just as a branch cannot survive or bear fruit on its own, we cannot experience true purpose and fulfillment apart from Christ. Everything we need flows from this relationship. He makes it clear that a fruitful life is not about striving harder, but about remaining in him. When we stay connected to Jesus through his word, prayer, and obedience, our lives begin to reflect his character. We grow in love, patience, faith, and purpose in a natural and lasting way. The Father, as the vine dresser, tends the vine with care and prunes the branches so they can become even more fruitful. Even difficult seasons are not wasted. They refine us and deepen our relationship with God. This truth invites us to reflect. Are we truly remaining in the vine? In Jesus, we find the source of life, growth, and lasting fruit. As we come to the end of these powerful I am statements of Jesus, one thing becomes clear. He is not just offering words, he is revealing himself. Each declaration is more than a teaching. It is a personal invitation to experience a real and living relationship with him. Jesus is everything we need. When we feel empty, he is the bread of life. When we feel lost, he is the light that guides us. When we are searching for direction, he is the way. When we feel weak or alone, he is the good shepherd who cares for us and never leaves us. And when everything seems broken or beyond hope, he reminds us that he is the resurrection and the life. These truths are not distant. They are present, real, and available to you today. Maybe one of these spoke directly to your heart. Don't ignore that moment. Sometimes a single truth can become the turning point of an entire life. If this message encouraged you, take a moment to like this video and subscribe to the channel so you can continue receiving content that strengthens your faith and brings clarity to your journey. And I'd love to hear from you. Comment below. Which I am statement impacted you the most? Thank you for staying until the end. May God's peace fill your heart, strengthen your faith, and guide your steps every day.